Hey YouTube, mickomoo here. The next segment of my OIA playthrough. If you remember, we broke up a picnic where a last apparently had a Mewtwo, and now we're going to enter. Just as I remember, it is based off a rock tunnel. My assumption is that D.tyler, either back then the hex editors wouldn't allow you to insert new content. I don't know if that's true or not. Or she didn't have the skill, or the person didn't have the skill to edit out certain items from the game. Because you could tell that, for example, cut is not in this game. The surfboard was replacements for surf. So I get the sense that the person, didn't want you to use HMs, but because of not being able to get rid of the rock tunnel, kind of stands that you have to. I know people who have gotten through without using flash, but it's just easier, honestly. I should have gotten more, oh damn, I don't have any repels. It's okay. So that dialogue wasn't changed because I remember that in the original rock tunnel. I don't know what it's called in this game, of course. It's crazy that these trainers have these Pokemon. I mean, Mewtwo took the cake, obviously, but their movesets are horrible. I mean, my Dragonair has the Thunder Wave. I thought, I think that Dragonite might know Rap too, which is kind of depressing. I'm gonna face through, just push through, even though I'm not too far from the Poke Center on Moral Island, where my fossil is currently being made, which I probably won't have the opportunity to get back to. Ooh. I've never not been able to escape a Zubat. It's kind of depressing. And I definitely need repels. It's unfortunate that Torvita Island didn't have any repels, from what I remember. But it did have Helix and Dome fossils. Not that I'm complaining, but as I pointed out before, interesting game choice, interesting game selection. I would battle all these Zubats that don't let me escape, but what's the point? It's so... That's interesting. It might be a Dragonite. Oh. I didn't want to use Ice Beam, but it's the most effective attack I have, apparently. Yeah, I apologize for not stocking up on repels back in, was that Naval Rock? Or Naval, I'm sorry, Naval Island. The design layout actually is not quite unlike that of Rock Tunnel. I think she even left them unchanged. We don't even know the name of the name of the cavern. The encounters are exactly the same, their levels changed. Which I guess makes me believe that she wasn't exactly... I was assuming it's a she because she used the last sprite, obviously, we saw back when I pointed out the cameo, but maybe she doesn't, I don't know what she identifies as or whatever. But, she was saying she couldn't change the levels, or the implications that the levels were a mistake or something. So I don't know if the levels here are edited. Clearly, there must be, I don't know, some preference involved or something. I don't know. I'm gonna give my Lapras a much needed rest. Hopefully, I can burn through this without any sort of problem. No pun intended, of course. Of course, the ZUBAT, the question is, can I escape? Of course not. Oh, what I should do is definitely... I don't know if this would help, because I can't tell if the levels are quite the same, but maybe switching Kadabra in front, he being my highest level Pokemon, he should be able to... Costume players? Like cosplayers? Is that where the name comes from? Figured that, but... Anyway, I'm really happy I switched Kadabra, because right off the bat we get a, About that costume players clip, I never heard anyone call it that, but obviously it makes sense. Forgive my ignorance. Clearly I was fated to use Kadabra in battle. It leveled up and I, right off the bat, got a special attack bonus, so I'm really glad I made that decision. So there are cosplayers in the Pokemon world. I don't remember that dialogue in original game. But what I am remembering is, so I couldn't see the levels before because my recorder actually is over them, but from when I'm looking at, it looks like they are the same as they were in Rock Tunnel. So I think that ZUBAT was actually 17. I need to look at my recorder's options, but it's interesting that there have been no rival fights in this game at all in any of the cities that were based off of the original location. And that's kind of disappointing. Oh, damn. I should have predicted that. I don't think it should be much of a problem, but we'll see. I was hoping to get to the flank before it did that again. If I'm not mistaken, and, well, I just might be, based off the design, I think we're halfway through Rock Tunnel, which isn't that bad. It was the first cave, the cave where the trainer encounters were changed, and I think the level layout itself has changed. That was really hectic, but this is so manageable. The only problem, I guess, is just the levels of the trainers, but if the type advantages keep up, then I'm not even concerned at all. I do wish I had more PP for some of my stronger attacks like Ice Beam and Psychic, but I mean, it's fine. Definitely keeping up Kadabra up for the obvious type advantage. And I don't have to use Psychic to get that advantage either. That Side Beam should be able to knock it out too. Gave me a much needed break. And we haven't had any Flow Dust action. Sounds kind of long, but you know, when I was thinking about the name Flow Dust, for some reason it made me think of like a old hooker. I don't know, like a worn out, shriveled up hooker. Just a weird thought. I'm gonna send I'm gonna send Blastoise out to get some experience. I was gonna say it's pretty easy to navigate this cave, but the implication is that these guys don't have a Pokemon with Flash, so that must be horrible. But then why would you go into a dark cave anyway? In a world where creatures like a giant Onyx exist, I would not be going here without any sort of Flash. I guess Weir gets the rest in this cave. Despite having a lot of type advantages, obviously I don't even need to use them. With Kadabra leading my party and my Venusaur and Blastoise doing all the work. I wonder if there's a guy whose job is just to literally come up with the dialogue. That sounds kind of like beyond boring. Maybe fun for a while, but like not for long. My assumption is, because now I'm starting to look at the levels that seem untouched, that this wasn't intended to be part of the game. This is the least developed and personalized as part of the game. Like, it literally is just Rock Tunnel. And like I said before, I think D.tyler did not intend for HMs to be a part of the game, which is why Cut, I haven't found Cut. Fly obviously is in the game. I believe I had it at one point in my previous playthrough back in 2000 whatever. But I know the field HM, she wasn't intending for them to be used, basically. I definitely want to fight more trainers, which is why I'm walking around kind of crazy. I don't remember exactly all of Rock Tunnel, but as I said, this is pretty much looking like what I remember it in the blue and red version. I played those games enough time to get a feel for what things ought to look like in them. Even after years of not playing, I kind of recognize them. Just can't do it with tight matchups, apparently. And once again, I apologize for not having Repel. I didn't know that the last time would be on Trovita. It's very depressing. Not Trovita, but Naval. She's the last probably junior trainer, so I don't know what she's gonna be using. I'm hoping type advantages keep up, but it looks like they haven't. No big deal. An electric type would come in handy about now, but it's fine. Oh, I look like level 24, so yeah. I don't know why I sent out a Charizard. It was a mistake, but it's fine. Yeah, so the levels, I guess, are untouched in this cave. Even the trainer levels, it looks like. I guess this is just the part of the game she didn't finish. So I'm wondering what the gym leader is going to be like, because I don't remember what level Rudy is, and I think, not Rudy, but whoever the final gym leader is, which I don't remember my Orange Islands well enough to say who that might be. But it will clearly be based off of Erica. If the next area we go to is the Celadon City of this game, then I can actually evolve my Jolteon. Not that it matters now, because it's severely underleveled. It's, I think, still level 25. And most of my party is in their mid-30s, mid to late 30s. Kadabra is a fine replacement for Foxy, unfortunately, as much as I may love it. Yeah, D.tyler's famous for changing not only the levels, but like the types too. I mean, everyone had it. Yeah, I know. This far in the cave, I guess the changes haven't taken effect. She wasn't done designing it, I guess, I know. I'm surprised this Plebeian knows what Pokedex is. Plebeian, whatever. As you can tell, I'm still kind of tired from the last time I recorded. I don't know why I did that, but I don't think it matters given my like severe over-leveled advantage. It does ease me from having to worrying about healing at all. And as you remember from my my Markarr Cave segment, I nearly was decimated. Here, it's not even a problem. I'm almost kind of embarrassed in the sense that like I'm showing you just straight up domination. Not to sound arrogant or anything, but it's almost kind of boring. Of course I have to go that way. Just follow the trainers. If I'm not mistaken, this is kind of the end of the cave. What's she implying? That sounds kind of... Did Pokemon just go there? Whatever. If I'm not mistaken, she has 2 Weeping Bells. Oh, my bad. Oh, this would be the perfect time to train my team, I guess. I mean, my now Dragonair. I'm gonna use Slam, but knowing that it might miss. I'm gonna try and even though I don't have the type advantage here, just try and hold out with Cruzu. But of course something like that would happen. I do have one antidote. I'm gonna wait until after the battle and see if it matters. If Cruzu faints before then obviously it wouldn't matter, but oh damn it, I should have figured that. It's just a few Pokemon encounters more. I'm probably gonna end the segment once I get to the next town. From there, look at what's left of the game and make the final recordings. I remember this being basically the end of the tunnel before Lavender Town, but of course now it's whatever island was in the anime. Hopefully it's an anime-based island, but I don't know. I'm gonna hold off on using Cruzu, just so I avoid a repeat performance of that VICTREEBEL poison powder. This is definitely more Cruzu speed PIDGEOTTO. Both second stage evolution forms are like around the same level, I guess. called Onyx Cave. I guess it's a reference to the Crystal Onyx, but of course the Crystal Onyx is just a dead-end cave that contained the Crystal Onyx, but this is like more like a tunnel, obviously the Onyx tunnel or whatever. So I'm gonna get off my bike now. I just found it funny he walked through the ledge. And now again we see more properly leveled Pokemon. So I need to be definitely more strategic in using type advantages now that the levels are appropriately, for this game anyway, appropriately leveled. I guess the cave is sort of just a break from now, I know Vaporeon, I think, in Gen 3 onward has something called, something skin, where it's able to avoid, I think, status changes, and, like, poison and stuff. I'm not sure. I know Haze is referring to, like, accuracy and stat-based changes, but gets strange with the battles in this game. Not a lot of offensive options from the players, except for when they do use them, they're lethal. But when they don't have them, it's just hilarious. And that does that, so I guess not. I can't make fun of Blastoise for using water gun because my Blastoise only knows water gun too. Definitely gonna use my last Lemonade on Flow Dust. Hopefully it stays alive. That's basically the exact moveset of my Blastoise. Water Gun and Bite are my major offensive moves. Hoping that this does some major damage and it's enough to kill it well. Maybe not, but and there goes the battle from what I can see. So Flood is leveling nicely, and it's getting closer to the level of its peers. I wonder what's in the grass. Just curiosity. Just try to. The cave entirely. Wow, it's been funny. I was like, there's no Pokemon here. Oh. I guess the implication is that it's sort of the same island as Morale. Or Moral, whatever. Which, as I said before, is definitely not in the anime. The new tunnel. I guess it's similar to the Saffron, Celadon tunnel? No, there's definitely a tunnel between maybe, Lavender and Saffron. Yeah, my memory's kind of failing me, but it's not unlike that tunnel that I'm thinking about. Oh man, I was hoping to avoid that, but that was really oddly intelligent of the computer to do that and not use Flash. I still find it funny. We have a Tauros. I know it's paralyzed, but I'm thinking Tauros's sort of abilities might be best countered by my Lapis's defense. Speaking of defense, Tauros tried that. I'll have to have a Zubat this late in the game, but it's properly leveled, I guess, so it's fair. As you can tell, I'm like 10 levels behind, and most of my party members are 10 levels behind what they should be. To like 15 levels behind. I'm hoping that I can make it flinch. You see, we both have like weak versions of our elemental attacks. Tunnel, this is the tunnel. So dialogue here has been changed. Maybe it's the Cerulean City, Vermilion City tunnel that I'm thinking of. There is a tunnel, I believe, that goes that direction. But there's several in the game, if I'm not mistaken, in the original game. This is probably one of the longest routes we've been on. And I'm wondering if this can be cut, but we don't know. I don't know. It's clear I gotta get on my board. There's some grass here, so I guess this is for... It sounds like Saffron City, so... Well, that's interesting. If I want an electric type, I can come here and get one, but I don't even know what the next simulator has in store. That's interesting. I don't know if it's referring to in-game story or being built in the sense that D.tyler hasn't actually gotten around to developing that area. But I think I will end this segment after I heal here, and I'll see you guys next time.